Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's virtual admission session with UNC Charlotte. I'm here with my colleagues, Christina and Dwayne. My name is Rachel Worsham, and I'm a post-secondary access advisor with Game Plan College at the Emily K Center. And I'm here with Janae, who's going to tell us a little bit about UNC Charlotte. So I'll just go ahead and turn it over to you.
Awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for choosing to hang out with us today. I am, again, Janae Graham. I work for UNC Charlotte's undergraduate admissions office. And so today we're just going to be talking about UNC Charlotte and what we have to offer academically, as well as things you can do to get involved on campus, and a couple of admissions pieces as well. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. I'll share my screen and we'll do this. So yeah, again, super excited to be talking to you guys about UNC Charlotte, and we'll go ahead and start. So the first thing that I want to kind of highlight for you guys is a campus map. I don't know if you guys are familiar with our school or the Charlotte area, but sometimes things can seem a little huge and actually a little bit intimidating. And so I like to kind of start off presentations about us with this campus map to give you perspective about kind of where everything is and where everything kind of fits. So we have a campus that is about 1,000 acres. And we've built on about half of that, so we still have a lot of room for growth. But just for perspective, your academic buildings where your classes are going to take place are going to be in the center of the map. Your residence halls and things are going to be along the outskirts, and our sports facilities are closer towards the back of campus. So that's just kind of like a little perspective for you as far as where everything is. So we are a very large university, but we do have a small college feel. Our students enjoy a very strong sense of community. They're more than a number. And fun fact, we actually have our own zip code as well. We're also designated as North Carolina's Urban Research University. So what that means for you is that you can participate in research at the graduate level, even if you are not a graduate student. And so that's like a really good way to get deep into your major and really get to learn in a deeper way than just experiencing things from a classroom perspective and just kind of be able to translate that to the real world. We're also the fastest growing university in North Carolina. And in the last 7 years, we've either built or renovated 22 new buildings. I like to always highlight our University Recreation Center. We just opened it in January. We call it UREC for short. It's really cool. It's got 5 floors, indoor, outdoor swimming pool. We have like 4 or 5 different courts, so you can do basketball, pickleball, all these really cool sports. We have regular workout equipment in there. You can learn how to cook healthy meals with like demo classes. It's a very cool space, and our students really love it. So it just opened up in January. So I'd like to mention that. We also have a new science building on the way that's expected to open in 2021, and it's going to have all the latest and greatest technology and lab space so that those science classes can be a little bit more engaging. I also kind of want to point out our light rail. So if you see here on the right side of the screen, you'll notice this little train. That's something that's really cool about the Charlotte area is the light rail. So UNC Charlotte, you may not know, is in a more suburban part of Charlotte. We're not really in like the hustle bustle part of the city. We're not in like the big city part of Charlotte. That is more towards your a part of the city that we call uptown. And it's basically like our downtown. So for starters, we call our downtown uptown because that part of the city sits on a hill. And so that's where you have like more of your, traffic infused internship, games, that kind of thing, where you can get easy access from UNC Charlotte to the light rail. So at our university, we're really in more of a quiet part of the city, but if you wanted to get to the games, the internships, where the Panthers play, that kind of thing, you could easily access the light rail. And so it's just kind of like an above ground subway or a train, and your student ID is going to be an all access pass. So what that means is you pay for it in your transportation fee, but once you show your student ID on the light rail, it'll let you on for free. And that also is the case for our Charlotte area transit system buses as well. So that's something that our students really enjoy. So just to kind of introduce you to our community here, UNC Charlotte has about 29,000 students enrolled. Of that number, 24,000 of them are undergraduates, and so about 5,000 are getting their master's or doctoral degrees. We consider ourselves to be a global campus. Diversity is very important to us, and as a matter of fact, we're one of the most diverse campuses in North Carolina. Our students come from over 105 countries, 47 states, and 46% of our students self-identify as underrepresented. That's basically just a college term for students of color, minorities, people from rural North Carolina, a bunch of different backgrounds included. Something I also like to mention is that last year's incoming class of freshmen 37% of them were the first in their families to go to college. And so we have a lot of people here who represent a very diverse background, but we also have resources here to support those students. And so I'll get into that in just a second. Going back to that small college feel, our student to faculty ratio, or student to teacher ratio, is 19:1, and our average class size is 35. So that is something that hasn't changed, even though our population has continued to grow over the years. That is something that we truly value, just wanting to make sure that you have that sense of community, not only with your peers, but with your academics and your professors and classmates as well. So if you've ever seen, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like movies or like commercials or things where like a student walks into a college classroom and there's like 500 people and they're like, oh my gosh, where do I even start? You're really not going to find that at UNC Charlotte. About 78% of our classes have less than 50 students. Excuse me, and only 7 classes on the entire campus have over 200 seats. So we really like to keep that average class size small, just so, again, you can start to build that community. Just for perspective, when you're going to college, about 1/3 of your time there is going to be in general education courses. So those are the classes that everybody has to take, regardless of what your major is, like your intro to biology, intro to writing, those kind of things. When you get to your major specific courses, that's going to be about 2/3 of your college time, and those are going to be your smaller class sizes. So speaking of academics, I did want to kind of briefly go over what we offer academically. For starters, I see you guys are saying this word, academic colleges. So for perspective, UNC Charlotte is one campus, we're one university, but we have certain buildings that are dedicated to academic focuses, and we call those academic colleges. So I'm going to talk to you about each and every one of those. However, I won't get to talk about every single major we have because we do have 139 majors. However, but I will be able to send a copy of our digital freshman brochure to your organizers of this webinar. And so that is like a little booklet, a digital booklet that on the back page has a list of all 139. So I'm just going to kind of sample them for you so you can get a clue about what we have here. The first one I want to talk about is our College of Arts and Architecture. So those are going to be your majors like studio arts, performing arts, so like your dance, your writing, your music, graphic design as well. We have a bunch of different majors here, studio art type things, art history, art education. If you're interested in architecture, you should know that we're one of 2 accredited programs in the state of North Carolina, so you can graduate on track to earn your license. Something else to know about this particular academic college with us is that it's going to require a separate application, or like an additional one. So you'll apply to UNC Charlotte as regular, or just like you would for any other major. And then you'll also get a follow-up from the College of Arts and Architecture to say, hey, we really like to see your portfolio and some essays that are also going to be attached to that as well. So just keep that in mind. I also want to talk to you about our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So this is going to be our largest undergraduate college because it has the most amount of majors. For instance, this is like the ologies, right? So biology, psychology, sociology, meteorology, the study of weather is here. We have political science, criminal justice here as well. Chemistry, earth and environmental science, Africana studies, religious studies, international studies, different things of this nature. A lot of the majors that you'll find here, you'll probably find at other places as well. So that's a really cool one. Also want to discuss our College of Health and Human Services. So this is going to be majors like nursing, which is our most competitive major. Also health systems management, exercise science as well. Fun fact about exercise science, if you choose to major in that, you can earn an accelerated master's degree in athletic training. So if that's of interest to you, definitely check us out for that. We also have social work and public health in this particular academic college as well. And now I want to talk to you about our Belk College of Business. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time here because Charlotte is uniquely positioned to cater to folks who are interested in business. So we are actually the 2nd largest banking capital in the United States. We're right behind New York City when it comes to that. And we actually have over 300 Fortune 500 companies in the city of Charlotte. And so a lot of our students are able to intern and gain employment with those Fortune 500 companies, which is really, really cool experience for them. And then also a lot of our professors will teach in those Fortune 500 companies. I'm sorry, they'll work in those Fortune 500 companies and then turn around and teach our students. So they're really getting that real world experience. For perspective, as far as what majors this college offers, is going to be like finance, economics, marketing, international business, and then a really cool one called business analytics, which I always like to explain. I don't know if you guys have ever like been on Google to Google something and then all of a sudden that same thing is like in an ad on your Instagram feed, and then you open Twitter and it's like, oh my gosh, that's the thing I just Googled. So that's like a whole field called business analytics, and it's one of the more popular ones in that Bell College of Business. Also, I want to talk about our Cato College of Education. So for any future educators, UNC Charlotte is actually one of the largest producers of educators in the state of North Carolina. Every year we graduate a little bit over 600 teachers. And I like this one because number one, I just really love education, but also if you're in this one college, then you'll get kind of like experience and intern and classroom experience from your freshman year all the way up to your senior year of student teaching. So you can really see like, okay, like I'm talking with real kids, like I'm really getting a feel for this. So you can see like, oh my gosh, I really love this and I want to stick with teaching, or this isn't for me and I'm going to switch, that kind of thing. So to be specific, we have birth through kindergarten child development, elementary education, middle grades education, foreign language education. We also have we also have a major in special education, as well as minors in secondary or high school education. So in that case, you would just major in the content area that you want to teach and then minor in like how to be the teacher. You also have dual programs where you can study to be a special education teacher in a certain level. So lots of different options there. Our William States Lee College of Engineering is very cool because I'm going to mention the word hands-on a lot. We have NASCAR in the city of Charlotte, and so a lot of our students will actually like legit get to work with NASCAR and like build actual cars and stuff for them. It's really, really cool. They have a lab space on campus where they can work on that. But even if that's not your flavor of engineering, we do have a wide variety of options. So particularly we have civil engineering, mechanical, computer, systems engineering, fire and technology safety engineering, wide variety of options. And just want to also mention for anyone that's interested in this group of majors, it is a heavily calculus-based major. So that's just something to keep in mind. We do have academic resources to support you here, but definitely check us out if you're interested in that group of majors. And similarly, our College of Computing and Informatics. So I don't know if you guys have in your college research come across computer programs that were kind of like tucked into engineering and then that's like all you have. At UNC Charlotte, we're actually one of 6 universities in the entire country that has an entire academic college dedicated specifically to computing majors. So we're the largest computer program in the Southeast. And because of all of that, we're able to offer students who are interested in these majors a lot more resources. So our students have 100% paid internships. Our professors in this academic college make a lot of connections throughout the city of Charlotte. And so they're really getting to have that, like, again, real world experience, right? So to be specific, these are going to be majors like software engineering, cybersecurity, what are some other ones that I'm thinking of? Web and mobile apps here, artificial intelligence, robotics, gaming, those kind of things. So definitely make sure that we're on your radar if you're interested in those kind of programs. So I know that I've mentioned a lot of majors here, right? And for some of you guys, you may be caught in between a few of them. You might be interested in several of them, or maybe you don't even know what you want to do when you go to college. You may not even be sure of what you want to major in, and that's okay. At our university, we don't require that you know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life when you turn 17. If you don't know, we do have a resource called University College, and that is for folks in the undecided category or undeclared majors. And so what happens here is that if you come into our university undecided, number one, it's not going to be like unfavorable to us. So we're not going to say, oh my gosh, so they don't even know what they want to major in. It's not going to look bad on your application if you apply undecided. What we do to support students in this category is we'll partner you with an academic advisor to make sure that you're on track with those general education courses that we talked about earlier. And then you're also going to be paired with a career coach who can help you see, well, what is it that I'm interested in? What are the kinds of things that I, like to do? And they're going to do that through career assessment, so they can like give you tests and different things to kind of figure it out, and also just exposing you to different opportunities. So that's definitely a resource if you're not entirely sure what you want to do. And about a third of our students come into college at UNC Charlotte with this major and then are able to kind of transition to other fields of interest. If anyone's interested in becoming a lawyer, a doctor, an optometrist, pre-law, pre-med kind of track people, we have similar supports for you all as well. No matter what you're majoring in, we are able to support you with those dreams. A lot of people have a common misconception that like, if I want to be a doctor, I have to major in biology or chemistry, right? Or if I want to be a lawyer, I have to major in political science. And that's not exactly true. You can actually major in whatever you want to major in and still pursue those dreams of going to law school eventually, right? Or eventually going to med school. At UNC Charlotte will partner you with a pre-law or pre-med advisor who will say, okay, Janae, I know that you're interested in law school at this university. So I'm going to make sure that you are building the classes into your UNC Charlotte schedule to make sure that you can apply to those law schools. So just something to keep in mind, no matter what you major in, you can definitely pursue those dreams. So again, that's just a brief overview of the many majors that we offer at UNC Charlotte. There's 139 of them, and I'll be sure to send the digital brochure for you guys to leaf through and see. Going into kind of bringing excuse me, if we're going into kind of connecting the opportunities to the city, a lot of our undergraduate students participate in some form of experiential learning. I see some questions in the chat, so definitely keep putting them in, and I'll get to them at the end. Sorry, I just saw a few of them going off. But yeah, so a lot of our students actually participate in internships and different opportunities in the city on and off campus as well. And on the board, you'll see kind of like a few of the many companies that our students are able to intern with and gain employment with after graduation. So we just think that's important because, you know, when you're going for jobs, employers are going to want to see that you did more than go to class, right? You want to make sure that you're getting different kind of experiences to help make you stand out. And so a lot of our students make sure that they take advantage of the opportunities in the city of Charlotte and also on campus. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of make yourself stand out in that way. So switching gears, I talked to you briefly about how we have a lot of different students from different backgrounds. So we have a lot of diverse students. And so I want to go over what some of those support resources are and just give you kind of a kind of summary of some of our favorite that we like to highlight. So the first one I want to talk to you about is our University Transition Opportunities Program, or we call it UTOP for short. So UTOP is a summer bridge program where after you're accepted to UNC Charlotte, you can come to campus about 6 weeks earlier or so, and you and about 100 or so other students from similar backgrounds as you can start like to take a class or two together, make friends, you get a mentor. It's a very cool program that a lot of our students love to take advantage of. So that's just kind of a way to like start building your community before the big rush of people, you know, get to college all at the same time. Similarly, our Student Advising for Freshman Excellence Peer Mentoring Program, or SAFE for short, is kind of like, I was a freshman last year, you were a freshman this year, let me show you the ropes, that kind of thing. We have several offices that help with academic kind of adjustment and helping you make the transition from high school to college. So sometimes it's not always obvious to everybody, like, how exactly do I talk to a professor? Like, what am I supposed to say? What am I not supposed to say? If I'm meeting with them, like, what are some things that I'm supposed to, you know, keep in mind? So we do have a lot of, we have 2 offices on campus who are specifically dedicated to helping students make the college adjustment, but then also giving you like peer tutoring resources, right? Different things to kind of help you stay on track academically in different programs there. So a lot of our students who are the first in their families to go to college will take advantage of those programs, but we do have others as well. Similarly, our Office of Disability Services. So if you have a reported disability, if you need it really, really quiet in a room when you take a test, if you are utilizing a wheelchair, if you have test anxiety or whatever kind of things students have going on, we have an entire office on campus that is dedicated to ensuring that you receive the support that you need. Our University Career Center, I think, is very cool. It's a place where you can do stuff like, you know, get your resume critiqued before you apply to all these jobs and internships. So they'll tell you like how you can make it stronger and different things like that. You can also get mock interviews here as well. So just to kind of build the skill of like being a strong interview candidate. We also have something in here called the Professional Clothing Closet, which I think is really, really cool. It's basically like a space where students and faculty can donate professional clothing and they'll wash it. The Career Center will, you know, wash the clothes or whatever, and then offer it to students so they can rent out professional clothing for jobs, internships, whatever. And then they also have certain events like once or twice a year where people can just have the clothes and like take them and keep them. So our students really like that because sometimes it can be a bit expensive to kind of build your professional wardrobe. So I think that's a really cool way to kind of meet them in the middle. I also want to highlight our Office of Identity, Equity, and Engagement, or IEE for short. So this is an office whose entire role really is twofold. So like making safe spaces for students from different backgrounds and creating programs where diversity is celebrated and acknowledged and people can learn, but then also like educating the campus community as a whole about what does it mean to respectfully interact with people from different backgrounds. So some of the programs that I love that they put on are our cultural heritage celebrations. So like Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, Native American History Month. I think they also have one for just human rights in general. There's a training program that they have here for students who are interested in activism, and it's called Activate. And so like if you're someone who's into like equality, justice, human rights, like they kind of have a whole training institute where it's like, what does that mean? Like, what does that look like? And how do we, you know, do that in real life within the context of being in school and then also just out there in the real world. So IEE is a very special place where you can learn how to do some of that. So when you come to college, you are trying to get some goals done. You know, you want to set yourself up for success, but you also want to have fun. And so at UNC Charlotte, I'm very happy to say that we have a lot of opportunities on and off campus for you to have fun and get involved and really make sure that you're enjoying your college experience. So that's just a few pictures. We have 18 Division I sports teams. We are in Conference USA. And so even if you're not into sports, though, there's like a ton of things that you can do to get involved. Our university has over 400 clubs and organizations. And so different categories of that include the Just for Fun organizations. Like I think there's like, we have hammocks on campus where you can like, you know, chill on hammocks. And so there's like a hammock club where you can like nap on the hammocks and stuff. So random stuff like that. And then we also have stuff that's a little bit more tailored to stuff like student government, community service, sports, like I mentioned earlier, fraternities and sororities present as well, religious clubs, bunch of different opportunities. Of that 400, over 100 of the organizations are multiculturally focused. And so here you'll see a very small kind of featuring of what some of those organizations are. We just feel like it's important for you to be able to kind of find a home and like build a family with people who have similar beliefs as you, similar experiences or similar backgrounds. But yeah, bunch of different opportunities to get involved. So for instance, we have our Black Student Union, our Coalition of 100 Black Women, our Pride Spectrum for LGBT students, Korean Student Organization, our Asian Student Union, Chinese and Scholars Association, lots of different opportunities for students to kind of, again, find a home and find some friends with some similar backgrounds as well. So hopefully by now you're asking, how can I become a 49er? So we'll go ahead and jump into our admissions piece. So this first slide should look very familiar to you all. These are minimum high school course requirements, are also known as probably graduation requirements. I'm sure your counselors and different people are talking with you about this, so I won't spend too much time here. But what I do want to highlight is our foreign language requirement. So it has to be 2 units of the same foreign language. So you can't get by with like a French one and a German one, or like, you know, it has to be a Spanish 1, Spanish 2, French 1, French 2, German 1, German 2, like a 2 units of the same foreign language. I also want to highlight, again, these are the super minimum requirements, which means that most of our admitted students exceed these requirements, because again, this is just like the bare minimum. So just want to get that out of the way. And before you here, you'll see our admitted freshman profile. Before I jump into this, I just want to let you know, these are not minimums, requirements, or cutoffs. What this is just kind of a picture of what a competitive application looks like. So to explain, this is our middle 50% range. So basically, if we lined up all of the admitted students last year, from lowest GPA and test scores all the way up to highest GPA and test scores, this cutout that you see in front of you is the middle 50%. So what that means is that we admit 25% of the students we admit fall above these ranges, and 25% of the students we admit fall below these ranges. So again, this is not a slide where it's like, oh my God, I don't have a 3.8, I can't get into UNC Charlotte. That's not what this means. This is simply a snapshot of what a competitive application looks like. So for high school performance, you'll see our weighted GPA ranges typically tend to fall between 3.8 and 4.5. If it's the unweighted GPA, it's going to fall somewhere between 3.2 to 3.7. On the test scores, the SAT scores typically range from an 1130 to a 1280, and the ACT test is going to range typically from a 22 to a 27. What I do want to mention about test scores is that we don't have a preference between the SAT or the ACT. You can submit either one, but either way, we do encourage you to take the test at least twice, because we do something here called super scoring. So what that means is, you know, the SAT has like an evidence-based reading, and then it has, a math section. So the first time you take the test, you score higher on the evidence-based reading part, and then the second time you take the test, you score higher on the math part, we'll combine those two highest scores and combine them into your super score. And we're actually doing the same thing for the ACT as well. So we definitely encourage you to take the test at least twice. And going into how to apply, there are 4 parts to a completed application. Number 1 is to submit your online application. You can apply to UNC Charlotte on the Common App, our College Foundation of North Carolina website, or CFNC. You can also use our Future 49er portal, which I'll talk to you about in a second. So that's the first step. You'll need to pay your application fee or a fee waiver. So if you can get a fee waiver, definitely be talking to your counselor about that. We need your official high school transcripts, which at the time will show your grades all the way up to your junior year. And then it will require your final transcript after you're admitted to show your senior year grades. And then we also need your SAT and or ACT scores. So I want to make a quick note to make a differentiation. So the transcripts, we need them to be official. For test scores, you can self-report them. So what that means is it costs money to send your official SAT and ACT scores. So if you simply know what you made, you can just write them into your application without having to pay the fee. And then we won't require you to send the official ones until after you're admitted. So that's what that means, that self-report. Some of y'all might be happy to know that UNC Charlotte does not require recommendation letters or essays. But a time where I might want to send one is if you like had a rough semester, like something in your life happened, something tragic happened, and it impacted your grades, right? We just want to know what happened. So you can tell us that in a letter or an essay, because if you don't tell us what happened and we just kind of see your grades dip, then we might just assume that you slacked off. And if that's not the case, if life happened, just let us know that in an essay or a letter. So getting into dates and deadlines, we highly encourage students to apply by our November 1st early action deadline. So the difference between early action and early decision, really quickly, which you probably already know in a college program like this, is that our early action deadline is not binding, which means you can apply to us early action, get accepted, and still choose wherever you want to go to college. We do encourage you to apply by that November 1st deadline because it's just a little bit easier to get in. And also, I personally just like the feel of knowing like what I have going on with my college decisions early, so I can have more time to make a final decision. So yeah, a majority of the students who apply by our November 1st deadline, a majority of the students we admit are from the November 1st deadline, actually. So if you apply by that November 1 deadline, you'll have a decision by or before January 30th. If you apply to us by a regular decision deadline by February 1st, you'll know by April 1st. And if you apply after February 1st, we give you a decision on a rolling basis, which means like as we get the application, we'll let you know. Something I also just want to highlight here is that it needs to be a completed application. So that means like none of the parts can be missing. If you have like everything submitted except your test scores and you put it in, you know, by October 31st or by like November 1, and you haven't really met that deadline, right? Because you still haven't completed it with the test scores. So just make sure your completed application is submitted by these dates. Just also remember, if you're doing College of Arts and Architecture, they're going to follow up with you about separate deadlines for those additional components of your portfolio and essay. If anyone is an early college student, so if you're earning college credit while you're in high school, we encourage you to apply as a freshman, and then your credits will follow you. So we do that because there are certain benefits that freshmen and first year students get that transfer students do not, specifically with housing and scholarship opportunities. So if you are applying, if you're an early college student, just make sure you apply as a freshman, and then we'll apply the credits to you so you can have like a sophomore or junior standing. If you are coming with an associate's degree, you are eligible to be reviewed as a transfer student. And because you're basically like still coming out of high school, you'll still be eligible for those housing benefits and scholarship opportunities as well. So if you're maybe looking at this and saying, you know what, Janae, I really like UNC Charlotte a lot. I'm just not trying to come right away. You know, for whatever reason, if you decide you want to be a transfer student, we are actually the largest transfer institution in the state. So we accept just as many transfer students as we do freshmen. In order to become a transfer student at UNC Charlotte, the minimum requirements are that you have 24 or more transferable credit hours. So that's 1 year of credit, which means that you don't have to have an entire associate's degree in order to transfer to us. You need a minimum 2.0 cumulative GPA on those credits, and for competitive majors, like some of the more competitive ones, it might require a little bit higher, but the minimum is 2.0, and then you have to be eligible to return to the last school that you attended. So basically what that means is if you're on like academic probation, different things like that, then it will be a little bit harder. So going into cost and numbers, we are pretty comparable to other schools within the UNC system. So if you're coming from in-state, your in-state tuition is going to be about $7,000. If you're coming from outside the state of North Carolina, it's going to be about $20,000 a year for tuition. If you choose to live on campus, you'll notice a range there because our students actually have options when it comes to on-campus housing. So they're not, UNC Charlotte does not require students to live on campus, but about 80% of our freshman students do choose to live on campus. So if you do choose that, there are certain options that are more expensive than others, and I'll get to those in a second. So that's why you see that range there. If you do choose to live on campus and you're a first or second year student, then we do require you to have a meal plan, and it's going to be about $4,500. So to kind of tie it all together, if you're coming from the state of North Carolina, your in-state tuition is going to be about $17,000 to $18,000, and if you're coming from outside of the state, it's going to be about $33,000. So getting into those housing options really briefly, I want to just give you a quick overview of some of our housing options. A lot of our students choose to live on campus because of the convenience of getting to class easier. It's a little bit easier to get involved and make friends there. And they just really like the convenience aspect of it. So this first style is going to be our tower style housing, and it's actually our least expensive option. It's probably along the lines of what you've seen the most on TV and movies. It's like the one room and the two beds. You'll share a bathroom and a hallway. You'll share a bathroom with everyone on the hallway. Our suite style is a little bit different. It'll be like 2 to 4 people in a unit, and each of you have your own room. And then the 2 of you or the 4 of you will share the bathroom and a living room space. And our apartment style housing is the same as the suite style, but it also comes with a washer and a dryer and a kitchen. So you can probably tell that the tower style is the least expensive, and then your apartment style is going to be your most expensive. So that's why there's that range there with pricing for housing. Going into financial aid, so you definitely want to submit your FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid, as soon as you can. If you're a rising senior, the FAFSA opens on October the 1st, so you just want to make sure that you are submitting that as soon as possible. We do encourage you to fill out the FAFSA no matter what your financial profile is, or no matter what your family's financial situation is, because you really don't know what is going to be able to come to you for financial aid. I remember I had a mentee before I started working at UNC Charlotte, who I kept asking her, like, hey, did you fill out your FAFSA yet? Did you submit it? And she was just like, no, I'm not going to get any money. I didn't fill out the FAFSA. And I was getting on her, like, you need to submit it. And like, she didn't even know like how much financial aid she would get until she filled it out. And she was really surprised by that. So I do encourage students, if you can, to fill out the FAFSA. We do encourage you to submit it by our January 1st priority deadline. If you submit it by that day, then you'll know about what your financial aid awarding is by or before March 1st. If you submit it by March 1st, you will know by or before April 15th. And if you submit your FAFSA after March 1st, you'll financial aid is kind of like as funds are available. So a lot of different types of financial aid are out there, but some of it is on like a first come, first served basis. So just make sure that if you're eligible to complete the FAFSA, that you're doing that as soon as possible. Going into scholarships. So there are thousands of scholarship opportunities around. That's not an exaggeration. At UNC Charlotte, our institution, our university has over 1,000 scholarships specific to us. Our process is a little bit different. A lot of times at other universities, if you apply by a certain day, you'll automatically be considered for their financial aid. But for us, there's a separate process. So after you are admitted to UNC Charlotte, you will then activate your Niner Scholars portal at scholarships.uncc.edu. And so that's like a little database for scholarships where you can build a profile, and then they'll match you to certain scholarships that you're eligible to apply for, and you'll apply for them and see if you get them. So that's something that you activate after you're accepted with us to UNC Charlotte. For the younger students in the room, any rising juniors, seniors, we do want to highlight our Levine Scholars Program. So that is our premier merit-based scholarship, which is a full ride to our university, which means you wouldn't have to pay really anything to be here. It's very competitive. We only select 20 students every year for it. And it does require a counselor recommendation. So if you're interested in applying, definitely make sure that you're talking to your high school counselor. And it's a 4-year program as well as the funds. So it also comes with summer experiences, housing benefits. It's a very, very cool honors type program. So I mentioned to you earlier our Future 49er portal, which is one of the ways that you can apply to UNC Charlotte. The Future 49er portal is also a way for you to just stay connected with us and learn about different application updates, scholarship opportunities, more virtual events, and when we are able to open up other events on campus as well. So we do encourage you to text Niners to 75644 to create your Future 49er portal. So that's just a way that you can do that, and I'll be sure to send that information to your counselors as well, so that you can do that if you would like. If you have any questions whatsoever, I will be taking questions after the presentation, but if anything comes up afterwards, or if you just want to speak to someone, feel free to call us at 704-687-5507 or to email us at admissions@uncc.edu. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can go ahead and start to answer some questions. I see we have a lot of questions in the chat. Let me scroll here. Yes. Okay, so I see a question about the law school here. So UNC Charlotte doesn't have a law school, but we do still prepare you to kind of apply to the law schools that you're interested in with those pre-law and pre-health advisors. So let me see. Oh, I like this question. Given that you are now the fastest growing university in North Carolina, what do you attribute your rapid growth to? That's a really cool question. I think it's a couple things. So I would start off with the city of Charlotte also being really fast growing. So I think Charlotte is like the 16th largest city in the country, and the city of Charlotte is also rapidly growing. And I think our university kind of reflects that as well. We have also just, yeah, I think as our city grows, we are also growing. I think we also just keep kind of like adding really cool things to our campus. So I want to say in like 2009, we just added a student union, a brand new space. That was really cool. We just added our University Recreation Center, which is another cool way for students to get involved in like stay fit. And I think just the campus additions are also very attractive to folks. I think that Charlotte is a very diverse city, and so it's very attractive to people from diverse backgrounds. And I think that as the city grows, and as we continue to add things, that more people are becoming interested. Let me see. If a student decides that they don't fit with their major, what process would they be taken through? Would they be moved to the university college? So yeah, if you're no longer feeling that your major is a fit for you, you can just talk to your academic advisor and say, hey, like I would like to change my major. And then yeah, you would go through the university college and just kind of explore what your options are. And then they would work with you to kind of figure out what your next best step is. Let me see. So this question says, is on-campus housing guaranteed for all 4 years? If not, is it likely that a student can remain in on-campus housing for all 4 years? You know what? I want to be careful about answering this question. I will say that we do have deadlines as far as confirming your housing and applying for housing and different things. So I would just keep an eye on those deadlines and just like ensuring that you're following those. But yeah, I mean, I definitely know of students who have stayed on campus all 4 years. So we definitely have some of our students who now, work for housing who have done that. So that's definitely an option. I see a question here about the College of Arts and Architecture and their specific admissions requirements. I'm going to drop something in the chat that is gonna be able to answer that a little bit better. So I just put in the chat our admissions website, which is admissions.uncc.edu. And on that website, you'll find a resource for a virtual open house. And so on that website, there's different videos where each academic college has done an entire recorded segment about what their requirements are and what they're about, different things like that. So I would do that. And then I would also visit our website to kind of speak within, I'm sorry, I'm typing it as I go, with an admissions counselor if you have any other specific questions about that there. This next question says, why would UNC Charlotte be a good place to go to college for a student from Durham? So I'm technically from North Carolina. I grew up in Charlotte, but I went to school kind of in the Durham area. So when I think about Durham, I think about how compared to Charlotte, I don't want to call it a small town, but it's a little bit smaller. I think you guys have a strong community sense there as well. I think you guys are very cultured there. And those are actually kind of the things that remind me of UNC Charlotte. I think about how if you're looking for like a small campus feel, I genuinely believe that UNC Charlotte has that. That we have a lot of opportunities for students to feel connected, to get involved. I would also just suggest that there's a lot of opportunities for students from diverse backgrounds at our college too. So like if you're looking to kind of hold on to that cultural element, that's definitely present at our university. I think just the opportunities to get involved in the city of Charlotte are also very cool. There's a lot of different opportunities to take advantage of internships and different things of that nature. So yeah, I feel like UNC Charlotte kind of has the best of both worlds in that it feels small, but it can also expose you to a lot of different opportunities that you may not have gotten to take advantage of before. Tips for filling out the application. I feel like our application is pretty standard, honestly. I think my biggest piece of advice is just what I mentioned earlier of just trying to apply early with our application. I want to make sure I get it right. I know that like about 75% of our students who apply by that early action deadline are admitted to the university, whereas if you apply by the regular decision deadline, about 50% of those students are admitted. So it's just a little bit easier to get in if you apply by that November 1st deadline. But aside from that, I think our kind of application is pretty standard. So on average, we have a 60% acceptance rate, but just a majority of the students that we admit do get admitted by that early action deadline. This next question is asking, do you have study abroad programs? Yes, we do. So we have over 70 countries that students can study abroad in. And something that's really cool about it is that you can use, if you're getting financial aid from the university, you can use that financial aid to apply it to your study abroad trips. So I personally think that's really cool. I have a student that I work with. Her name is Autumn, and she's been to like 5 countries as a student at UNC Charlotte. So she's gotten to travel to literally 5 different countries on study abroad programs. And a lot of them actually will coincide with academic experiences. So she's a pre-health major, or she's on the pre-health track rather. And so part of what she got to do in study abroad is actually like go provide healthcare to people who were in different countries. She went to Nicaragua and like all these different places. So yeah, just one of the many countries that we are able to have students study abroad in. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna scroll through. Wonder if there are any other questions. Let me see. I want to mention as well, something that I'm going to drop in the chat is our housing website, just to provide some more information about housing and just how to like kind of ensure different things with that. I will mention as well that some of our students, while a lot of our students do choose to live on campus, we do have off-campus housing options as well that are within walking distance to campus. And so sometimes our students will like to use those. But if you have any specific questions about housing, feel free to contact our housing department at housing.uncc.edu. So yeah. Okay, great. This is a good question. So this one is about COVID. So the question is asking, will UNC Charlotte make changes to admissions processes in light of COVID-19 and canceled SATs and ACTs? So this is actually kind of a tough question only because we're still kind of figuring out how we're going to move forward, to be honest. So as of right now, test scores are still required, but what's challenging about that is that in light of COVID-19, a lot of our processes and stuff are dependent on state officials, people in the UNC system, just people who are above us. So we can't actually make decisions like that independently to say like, oh, well, we're UNC Charlotte and we're going to do this. A lot of people are kind of having their hands in the pot. And so we're basically still awaiting direction with how to move forward with that. I would encourage you, if you've taken the test before, to just submit those scores. And then for any there's absolutely flexibility, I will say that. So we do understand that, COVID-19 is changing everything for everybody, as well as the scope of higher education overall. And so I would just encourage you to call and to reach out about your specific situation. But in terms of blanketed processes, we are still awaiting direction kind of from state and local officials. So, yeah.
If anyone else has any more questions, if you would go ahead and put them in the chat box. While we're waiting for those, just a reminder, if you would like to be in the running to win a gift certificate, please fill out our form or our sign-in form bit.ly/GPC workshop, and I'll put that in the chat. And Janae, if you wouldn't mind putting your email in the chat box in case anyone has any questions that they don't want to ask over the chat.
For sure. I am going to put and I'm so sorry, you probably hear me typing like super loud. So yeah, I will put that in here as our email and our phone number to just be able to get you guys to anyone else. Well, let me not say it that way. If you have any questions that you don't want to ask in the chat, feel free to reach out to us at that email address, which is admissions@uncc.edu, or by reaching out on the phone at 704-687-5507. But I'll be here for the next 10 minutes or so. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, if that's it, then thank you so much for hosting this session for us. I think we all learned a lot about UNC Charlotte. And again, if you have any other questions, please make sure to contact their admissions office at that email address or the phone number, and please fill out our workshop sign-in sheet. Just a reminder, we have a full schedule of workshops and information sessions next week, so please tune into those at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. every day. And have a good weekend.
Thanks. Bye, guys. Appreciate it.